Good morning and welcome to another channel of Defying Jeep. Today we're going to help out one of our friends, Sarah. In fact, she's right here with us. This is Sarah. She has a 2010 Jeep JK. We're going to go ahead and do the brakes. And what we're pretty much going to do is replace the pads and rotors with cross-drilled and slotted rotors and carbon fiber pads. But in today's lesson, we're actually going to show Sarah how to do this in case she's stuck in a position where she has to do it herself. She'll already have the know-how on how to do it. Hang with us and we'll be right with you. Alrighty, here we go. Now from this point right here, I am going to go ahead and set the jack and the jack stand in a safe position. What do we got here? Nope, not there. Let's go right here. Let's perch it under the spring. All right, with the wheel off the ground, we're going to go ahead and grab that jack stand and we're going to secure it under the differential in case the jack should fail and fall and plummet and hurt us, and we don't want that. A little too much. Bring it one down. Come on. Perfect. Like Shrek said, that'll do, donkey. Are you ready? You know how to take your lug nuts off?
Say again?
You know how to take your lug nuts off?
Ready to tell you what to Lucy?
Yeah.
Gotta go get my key for you.
Oh, you got a wheel lock key?
Yeah.
All right, let's go get it. And at the same time, I'm going to lift this handle from the jack so that nobody accidentally trips over it and makes a mess of themselves. Oh, spline drive. Cool. We don't need that. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so you have these caps. These caps pop on, or do they have a screw? These caps, are they screwed on or they just pop on?
Wow. Looks like they are Torx on.
Okay, do you have the little torch for that? It looks like two of them, here and here. They're the only two that are discolored. Unless all five of them are like that, but we can try these too. Cool.
I can't quite open.
That's right. There you go. How that? Let's just lift the handle to keep it out of the way so nobody trips on it. Look at you in that handsome bag. Alrighty, for future reference, my friends, it is always handy to have the wheel lock key and any other keys to help remove the wheels handy so that extra time isn't taken from when you can be productive. Sweet. It's a Chichara. That's nice. Alrighty. Oh, let's see how we work out with this first. Okay, so it's just three of them. Okay. You have that extension in here? Because they're loose. I could just grab with the extension and just twist it out by hand. Ooh, groovy. Thank you. We'll put that back in there. Alrighty, so let's go ahead. We're gonna put the Torx in the head over here. And what we're doing here at this time is we are removing the 3 bolts and securing the cap on the wheel. That's good. All right, so what you couldn't see was us trying to remove the cap. This is a center cap right here. It has 3 bolts that hold it in place. We went ahead and loosened them up and then backed them all out so we could remove this cap, and now we're ready to move forward to remove the wheel from the hub. All right, at this point, since we do have the wheel ready with the hub cap off of it, we're ready to take the lugs off. So instead of consuming a lot of time with a 4-way lug wrench, we're going to use our cordless impact wrench and of course our impact socket set. So first thing I'm going to do is grab a battery, load it up, ready to go. All right, let's put this guy down. I'm going to grab our impact socket set. Now we're going to grab an extension, and more than likely I believe it's a 3/4 13/16 combination socket. Let's double check. Very well is so. Wonderful. Now let's take a look at these guys. Let's see what kind of a spot we're in. Make sure that the socket itself doesn't do any damage. Oh, we're going to be wonderful. Just double check. Perfect. Alrighty. Good to go. So I got my socket, my 3-inch extension. Let's apply it to impact gun. Battery's loaded. It's in reverse. Let's back her out. That's one. We'll go back. We'll pick that up in a moment. And I got one more. There you are. And if I can stop being butterfingers for a moment, let us go ahead and finish backing that one out. We are good to go. Let's put these guys right there along the wall. They're not going to get lost. I'm going to put my gun down. And now from this point, we're going to safely grab the wheel. Before I do so, let me get a pair of gloves. My hands are a bit dirty, but let's just keep them as clean as we can. If I can find out what I did with my gloves, that would be awesome. There you go. All right. Alrighty. Keep it clean. Now, this is a 17-inch wheel, 35-inch tire. I promise you, this is going to be heavy. Whew. Ooh. And there she is. She is off. Now, we're taking a look over here for a second. You can see that there are no retaining clips on here. So that's first letting us know that brakes have been done on this vehicle before sometime in the past. It is a 2010. We are currently in 2022. So in that 12 years, yes, at least 1, 2, or even 3 brake jobs have been done. Let's take a closer look. The pads are actually in very good shape. We can actually keep these pads as spares if the emergency arises, but we're still going to move forward. We're going to replace the rotors with the cross drilled and slotted and put on the carbon fiber pads. That's going to give her better stopping power and a shorter distance to stop. Whew, let's get to it. So we need a couple wrenches. Let's start with a 13 millimeter as a baseline. We're going to take these 2 bolts, one top, one bottom. We're going to swing them to a side. I have a bungee cord that we're going to use, and we're going to hang the calipers here. The reason we hang the calipers is because we don't want the weight of the caliper to pull on the stainless steel braided brake line. Yes, this is a very strong line, but misfortune can happen. You can pull the line, damage it, and who knows what the warranty is on this if it gets damaged during a basic brake job. So we're going to call it safe. We're going to protect our customer's product. We're going to hang this caliper here with a bungee cord just to keep it out of the way. So let me find a 13 millimeter as my base, and we're going to remove this caliper. Right, let's see if this one works. Man, it's practically Yahtzee up in here. It's a little loose, so it'll tell me one of two things. It might be a 12 millimeter or maybe SAE. Now, let's touch on that for a second. SAE, we understand the millimeters metric, the metric system. SAE does not mean standard. Most people think it does. The actual acronym stands for Society of Automotive Engineering. That's the SAE when it comes to standard measurements. But let's find a half inch. Let's see if that makes a difference. I'm sorry?
I have ratchet versions too.
Yeah, but I didn't bring that toolbox.
I'm gonna stop right now at this point, or no? Just keep going.
Yeah, let me see if this half inch fits. Okay, actually, yeah. You rolling?
Huh?
You rolling?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so now from this point right here, you can see that the half inch has no play. It's a better fit. So this one, it is SAE. Let's see if we can go ahead and knock it loose. There we go. I got that guy loose. Let's get the other one. Where are you, little friend? There you are. Ooh. Now in situations where the bolt is going to be a bit tight and you don't want to beat up your hands doing this also, we're going to go in the route of we're going to borrow a rubber mallet. We're going to beat on that just to break the seal. So let me find a rubber mallet.
I have a sand one.
Where is it? All right, with our rubber mallet, we're going to go ahead and tap the end of it a couple times. You can see it's moving. Somebody really went to town on this the last time they installed it. My goodness. Yeah, they did. Come on now. What were they thinking?
They didn't want it to move.
Yeah, right?
Ever.
I mean, it could be a chance that they put some thread.
Loctite?
Yeah, some Loctite thread locker.
Oh no.
You know, and that's. Whew. Whew. Getting a little winded here. I see you. Okay, so now it's gotten to a point where this hex shape nut that's in line with this assembly is now starting to spin. So I need to find me another wrench that's going to fit in here to keep it still so I can back out this nut the rest of the way. Alrighty. Alrighty, so from here, we got a 15-inch wrench, 15mm wrench. We're gonna fit perfectly into this nut that is keeping the bolts from loosening up further. So we're gonna use it just to keep it in place. And now we're able to freely spin the nut. And now I'm not gonna lie, I did some working on this in between clips to make sure I didn't waste your time. And just get the idea that there are a lot of moving parts in here, and we need to keep an eye on everything that's going on. Whew. And again, we are in Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's actually pretty warm. Today's definitely a bit cooler than it has been. Looks like the climate's changing. We're probably somewhere in the high 80s by now versus where we've been in the 90s and the 100s. But it's definitely looking better. See if I can grab this with my finger now. Perfect. All right, here's bolt 1. We are going to move forward and removing bolt 2. And our bolt is out. Wonderful. All right, so now if I can ask Sarah if she doesn't mind to get me that bungee cord so we can hang this caliper and not damage anything while we're replacing the pads. Get a shot over here. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this bungee cord. We're gonna go over this part down here. This is your rear anti-sway bar. All right, this is a good mounting point. And when I had picked out this bungee cord, I picked out the shortest one that I could use or could use. So all we're going to do at this point is we're going to peel off the caliper. We can use the actual bolt holes that the caliper was fastened to put the hooks of the bungee cord. And now there's plenty of slack for the cable, and the caliper is safe, and there's no weight yanking on extra equipment. So everything is totally dependent on being suspended by the bungee cord. All right, now let's take a look at the next step. The caliper's off, ready to be compressed. We're not going to touch that one yet. We've got two things going on. You still got your pads on here and the rotor. The only way this rotor is going to come off is to remove this bracket. This bracket is generally supported or fastened by 2 bolts. You got this fella right here, if you can see it, and the one above it. And if I'm correct, I believe both these fellas is a 17mm. So let me go find me a 17mm wrench. We're going to remove these 2 guys, remove the bracket, put the new rotor on there, and replace the pads. So, all right, let me go find me a 17mm wrench, and I'll be right back. All right, so thankfully, Sarah is smarter than most women I know, because as I'm starting to look for wrenches and whatnot, and I'm working remotely, I came to her place. I didn't bring a lot of my own tools. Some of you have seen the stock that I have. Luckily, Sarah's smart. She's got these ratcheting box end wrenches. Super help versus the manual, old school 1950s wrench it off the way I was doing it. So this is going to help our speed. Let's see how fast we can get these bolts off of here. Well, we have also confirmed that it's not a 17mm. Ah.
What size is it, you think?
Well, we're gonna go bigger. Could be 18, could be a 19.
I got 19.
Woo, look at you, you got a 19.
And I got 21 on the other end.
Yep, no 18s, huh?
I might have 18 in the drawer. I just haven't used it yet.
That's all right, let's see if this one fits. It skipped. That might be SAE also.
So smart or not, it's not the right size.
Yeah, right? And it's just so weird. Okay, 17 just flops around, meaning it won't even crown in there. 18 is too loose. So it's gotta be an SAE size. And of course I keep reverting to metric. Mine is a 17, everything's metric on mine. This vehicle is a 2010, so it does have SAE size bolts or bolt heads. So, slamming on my ding dong. You sure?
I just don't have wrenchable ones. I got other sizes over there, so we can go see.
Alrighty, so now, going back to the size of this bolt here, it is metric. We found that it is an 18mm after all the mathematical issues we're having with fractions. Yay, math! We're gonna go ahead and we fit an 18mm socket on it. I got a 3/8" wrench on it. It's still a bit tight. Even though I'm wearing gloves, I don't want to hurt or damage my hands. So we're going to give this a couple whacks with a mallet just to loosen up the C's. Let's try it one more time. I probably slipped off of that head. Son of a gun. This guy's a fighter, I'll tell you that. But it is the right size. It fits in there perfect. Why it's slipping off, I don't know.
Loctite, maybe.
Probably. I mean, I wouldn't put it past some of these mechanics to do that. You know, not necessarily so much that they're concerned or not confident in their own work, but you know, safety kind of stuff, vibrations, they make bolts back out. That's why it's recommended to check your work every 500 miles. Well, we got one. And we're okay. As long as that's not exposed, we're fine. All right, that's one of our bolts. Let's try and get this poor bastard out of here. Well, I feel like this bolt is singing a song to me.
Yeah.
You know, you're invited, but your friends can't come.
Right?
There we go. We got them loose. And yes, Loctite is our friend, but sometimes too much is overkill, man. There's a fine line between less is more. A lot of times when you're threading Loctite on bolts or fasteners or nuts of any kind, really, you just need a drop, maybe two. You don't gotta line the whole bolt or fastener with it. That's just overkill. Yay, it works.
Like it's hot.
All right, so now we have the bracket, the caliper bracket off, and yes, the brake pad popped right off it. I'm gonna put it back on here for a reason. We need to be very, very careful. We need to pay attention. Brake pads have their own shape and design and other amenities. And what I mean by that is, if I can get this guy back on here, this pad that just fell off there had a little bracket on here. It is very indicative of the position of the pad. One, we know it's a rear brake pad. Two, we need to know if this pad is going on the inside or the outside of the caliper. In this case, looking at your bracket and the position, this is definitely the insides, and it's going to have these brackets downward towards the rotor or towards the inner part of the rotor. But we're going to go ahead and catch up on that in a second.
Hey,
So,
Jay,
yes.
they look kind of smoky on the inside there. Is that normal?
Now, are you talking about this pattern right here on the pad itself?
No, I'm talking on the other one that you just looked at on the inside.
Wherever I did with it, it fell. Oh, behind my shoe.
Like all of that. Is
Okay.
that normal?
Yes, this is normal. It's a very good question, and thank you for asking. Now, this is your pad. This is the surface that is semi-metallic on this pad. This is the area that will be making contact with the rotor. The back of the rotor right here, it is what's riding on the piston of the caliper. And if you look at your caliper real quick, we're going to turn it on for a second. This piston, when you press your brakes, it comes out. All right? So the back of that pad is going to be riding along this circle right here. And for the most part, yes, it's dirty. It's brake dust. Other elements that just didn't blow away or wash off. But all in all, that is normal wear. If it looks dirty like that, I wouldn't worry about it because this is the back of the pad. The usable part makes contact with the rotor. Once this is gone, and you do have a wear indicator, it'll start to squeal or sing. It'll let you know, hey, it's time to replace these rotors. Because if you look at this pad, you have this little valley down in there. And where this valley meets the bottom, that is the legal limit by,
Safety standards.
yes, it's a safety standard. Just like tires have a wear indicator, that right there is the wear indicator of these brake pads. So when you get down to that legal limit, yes, there's a little bit of pad on the left, but that's when the law says, hey, it's time to change your brake pads.
So I just got my brakes done, and they squeak a lot. So I just had the brake lines done, I should say.
Right.
And they squeak a lot. And they told me it's because my big tires and the weight and everything.
Well,
Is this going to get rid of that squeaking?
I'm going to tell you yes. Now remember, there is a break-in period for brand new brake pads. Whether it be organic, semi-metallic, carbon fiber pads, just like any item, whether it be gears or brakes or any other item that you brand new put on your vehicle for the first time. There's always a wear-in time. There's a break-in period. And in brake pads, it's 500 miles. We really expect or would like all our drivers, when they replace the brake pads, to go 500 miles, normal, within the law speed limit driving, and giving yourself enough ample time for braking. Don't just stab your brakes. Because if you stab them and you come to a screeching halt, this kind of glaze will happen. This glaze is crystallization. Matched with the crystallization on the rotor, yes, it's gonna sing like a bird, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's one of those, take your time with it. I know we're in a hurry. In today's lifestyle, we can't help it. Believe me, I totally get it. But in order to take care of your brakes, there's a break-in process. So we're gonna have to follow that. Now, if you get that squealing again, there's a way to fix that. We won't have to replace anything, but we'll be going through this whole process again of taking the wheels off, taking off the caliper, taking off the pads. Because you can rough them up, get rid of all the gloss, the glaze, on both the rotors and the pads, and start over. Yeah? Cool. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and I got that one there. Where are the new brake pads for the rear?
Up here in the truck.
Alrighty, let me get that there. Alrighty, so now we got the new brake pads. We have the Extreme pad from PowerStop. These are fantastic pads. I got these on my Jeep myself. And I'm sure some funny looking dude said, hey, Sarah, you really need some really cool brake pads and rotors. And that funny guy probably sent her a link. Who knows? But these pads are awesome. They come with a stainless steel floating back in the back to also help prevent squeaks and noise from brake pads and brake dust. But these pads are very prone to little to no brake dust. This is just going to help add to that reassurance. Alrighty, so now at this point, we are going to go ahead and grab one of our rotors. And since we're working on the rear, we know exactly what we want. We like the rear. Oh man, here we go. I found an opening to the bag. Now, word to the wise. There goes my video. Okay, word to the wise. All of you more experienced brake parts replacement installer guys, these rotors are not coated with shipping oil. There's no need to douse or douche them with spray brake part cleaner and waste all that. These are completely clean, nickel plated, beautiful. Seriously, man, my God, look at these things.
Muy bonita.
Sí, muy bonita. All right, so passenger rear. We're going to go ahead and put this one down. Specifically mark passenger rear for the flow or the design of the cross drills and the slots. So we're going to go and put this down. Guess we got excited when we opened up this package. Gracias. All right, we're going to try this one more time. Now, we're going to take this handy dandy, very beautiful rotor. We're going to hang on to her for a moment. See if I can do this one-handed. Probably not. Alrighty, let's take our mallet. What we're going to do is we're going to break any kind of bonding between the emergency brake shoes that are inside the drum and this right here. It's only going to take a couple whacks. If I can treat it like a deer. There you go. And keep in mind, I'm not going to show it to you, but keep in mind, the inside of this drum right here, on the one we took off, it's got a lot of brake dust. You don't want to breathe that stuff. It's cancer causing. Just stay away from it. All right. Let's go ahead and, thank you. And we're going to be careful to handle the rotor by its edges. Pretty much the only edge is not going to be used. All right. Look at that. She's so pretty, isn't she?
So shy.
Now, to keep this rotor in place, we're going to take advantage of at least one of Sarah's lug nuts. We're going to drive it in as much as we can. It's just going to be hand tight, nothing super. We just don't want the rotor to move out of place when we are putting the bracket, the caliper bracket back in. In this case, it looks like it bottomed out. Not yet, still spinning. Groovy. All right, so we're there. So now we got one lug nut bottomed out, keeping the rotor from moving. Let's go ahead and put this bracket back on there. So, this is the outer. We're gonna pop the old one off. I believe, what's this one? We're gonna reuse this shim. Let's put this fella back in here. Come on, fool. Right on, it's in there. Let's go ahead and grab our brake pad. And notice that the only time that we actually use the expression shoe was for the emergency brakes. Why is that? Because of the design and the shape of the resource itself. Let me take a look at the other one. This one may not be correct. That's a used one? Oh, that's important. Remember this tab right here? You got to be careful on which one goes on the driver's side and which one goes on the passenger side. So we'll compare that to the other one that was removed, where we can find out where it flew to. Know what I mean?
Oh, this little guy?
No, the other brake pad. This is the old one. These four are the new ones. Where's the other old one? No say? With a whole lot of carajo?
No habla español.
Yeah, me neither, man.
No, ¿dónde? Is it in no, never mind, it's in there. Did it go under your seat by any chance?
I don't know, let's take a look.
No.
Nope, 9.
Where'd you go? Where'd you run to?
Anything out here by them tools? Well, what the hell? That is like the strangest thing.
So just noting that there is a difference.
You're a dork, man. Arr. This fucker's fighting me. Oops, excuse my language there. Sorry, YouTube.
I hate it when it fights back like that.
Huh?
I hate it when they fight back like that.
I know, right?
Can't they just play nice?
Well, sometimes you want them to resist. Alrighty, after replacing the rotor, replacing all of the slide hardware on the bracket, and putting the pads, or mounting the pads on the bracket, we are now going to fasten the bracket. What do I do with the other big bolt? Here it is. Where is that 18 millimeter we had?
It's right there on the floor.
Right there on the floor? There it is. Because Mr. Magoo don't see too good. Come on now. Okay, that's snug for now. Let's get this other one in there. And then we're going to tighten them up because once we get off of these bolts, we're not coming back.
There's no Loctite this time.
No Loctite this time. Whatever. Alrighty, but we are going to use the old-fashioned arm and hammer. That's what we're going to use. All right. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a nice spot, which is going to give this a couple whacks. Alrighty. And we're trusting adjustment on the wax over here. I have every bit of faith in 500 miles. I'm going to see Sarah again, and she's going to be like, Steve, check the bolts on the brakes you did. And I'm going to be like, all right, I got you. All right.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. All right, so now the caliper's securely fastened. I grab the pads and I squeeze them, excuse me, I squeeze them to the surface of the rotor. And now we are going to go ahead and take our caliper and we are going to push this piston all the way back in. But before we do so, we need to open the hood. We are going to loosen the cap of the brake fluid reservoir. What's going to happen as we push this piston in, all the brake fluid that's in here is going to push upward. And remember, this is a sealed environment. There is no air. It's strictly fluid. And just like water, you can't squeeze it. It has to go somewhere. We push the piston in, fluid's going to back out. It's going to work its way all the way up to the master cylinder. So we need to uncap that reservoir because if there's overspill, we're going to just let it spill and not create any excess pressure with the cap on. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to take my glove off so I don't dirt. All right, FYI, one of the coolest things. Look at that.
Get yourself some hood struts.
Yep. All right, so this is where we're at right here. This is the reservoir for the master cylinder. And all we're going to do is we are just going to loosen the cap. Okay, we're just going to leave it there loose. Now, you can see by the level, there is space for fluid to back up in there, which is good. But just in case it overfills, the cap is already loose and the fluid's got somewhere to go. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and compress that piston. If I can remember how to use a glove, it'd be awesome. So, did I prematurely sit down? I probably did. There it is. Now, there are several different forms of piston compressing tools. This is your basic. It's got a very free spin on it. If any reason you're ever using this design right here and it's binding or getting stuck, that's letting you know that the bolt area is stretching. It is now becoming stripped. This item right here is cheap enough. You can get it $10 anywhere. Your local auto parts store, Harbor Freight, whatever. You know, there are other models that support double piston calipers. There are models that support 4 piston calipers. So always select the one that's right for you. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is I'm going to back this out as much as I can, just so I can get it in there. But this is probably good enough right here because I have such a large cavity. And what we're looking at is right here. We're looking at your piston here. This surface that we're going to use to apply tension, so this piston is right here. We're going to push it all the way in here. This whole area is going to be flat. So, and because we have this hole in the middle right here, we're going to use something else to help us push that. And by coincidence, we have a brake pad, which is always usable. Brake pads are always usable for this item. So, let's go ahead and, all right, so now I have my baseline. And this should be easy enough, even though it looks pretty tough, but the tool is in very good working condition. The caliper itself is in very good working condition. We know this because we can feel that the piston is going in and it is not binding. All right, so I feel that it's reached its bottom out area where it is now compressed to the max. Let's go ahead and take this guy out. Let's take this guy out, and you can feel it's all flush. Let's make sure it's going to fit in there. Actually feels pretty good. Let's go ahead and remove the bungee cord. Let's get this out of the way so I don't get hung up. Now, this particular design is called a floating caliper, which means it's just going to bolt right here. You have a bolt on the top and a bolt on the bottom. And technically it's in, it just needs to be fastened in. For the most part, this is done. We just need to pump the brake just enough to set the brake pads, which means that we're going to pump the brake slowly. We're going to let the piston get pushed by the fluid to where it becomes tight and it doesn't need to move anymore. But before we move further, let's go ahead and tighten up this caliper. Smooth.
Run away.
I know, right? This guy wants to fight me. Don't bug quick joke. Security trying to fight me.
Hmm?
Security trying to fight me. All right. So instead of being a little bass backwards the way I was earlier with this 13 millimeter, I'm gonna go back to my toolbox. I'm gonna trade in this 13 millimeter wrench for a 13 millimeter socket and ratchet, because yeah, me and Sarah's getting tired. We need to finish this job. So
It's in the orange. It's in the red little baggie.
I got my box right there.
Oh, okay. You're closer. So while you're up.
While I'm up, what do you need? Oh, I see your game. Here you go, mi amor. Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Feel free to take a drink of your own water over there.
Oh, I got one?
Yeah. You know, while you're up.
Yeah, right.
Might as well.
Oh my God, that's good. Oh,
I just put in a new filter.
and it's nice and ice cold. So, move these here fellers out the way. Now that we got a 13 millimeter, let's go ahead and tighten this guy up. Now remember, this nut, if it moves, you're going to need to employ that 15 millimeter wrench to keep it steady so it doesn't move. Okay, that one's good. And we break the socket, I don't care. Got a Harbor Freight. Okay, let's tighten this guy up as much as I can so we don't waste time winding with the ratchet. See, now this one's spinning, good. Where's that 15 millimeter wrench? All done. From here we can remove this lug nut that we had applied to keep the rotor in place. So we can do one of two things, and really at this point it doesn't matter what order you do it in. We can get in the Jeep, we can slowly pump the brake to get fluid back into the piston to set the pads, or we can put the wheel on first and still do that. But regardless, setting up the pads is gonna get done. Alrighty, but at this point we're good to go. We just need to pump the brakes, set the pads, put on the wheels, torque them to the 100 foot-pounds with a torque wrench. Drive around for a minute, check them again after 25-30 miles, make sure they stay snug, and we're good to go. Now, this process has been actually very simple. I do apologize if it seemed like it took a little while and we're a little disorganized. Both Sarah and I are working in an unfamiliar territory, meaning it's not a huge parking lot and we're kind of crammed into a single car garage, and we're limited to tools. But it's okay, we're getting it done. Now, from here, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do the passenger side. Now, the passenger side is exactly this same job over here, so I'm not gonna bore you with those details. Sarah and I, we're gonna go ahead and take care of the passenger side. We're gonna back out the Jeep, and then we're gonna back it in to expose the front to the outside, and then we'll start working on the front. And we'll be with you as fast as we can to show you how that's done. Thanks for hanging in there. Alrighty, we are all set. We got the Jeep turned around. It's backed into the garage. We already got one of the wheels off, and we're gonna go ahead and start doing the brakes in the front. What do you think so far?
So far, so good.
So far, so good?
Yeah.
You learning much?
I am. I actually used my gym skills to go ahead and get some bolts loose.
Gym skills, that's right.
Yeah.
So, next time in the future, you gonna be able to do this on your own?
I'm gonna be able to call you.
She's gonna be able to call me. I guess I'm gonna be on standby for a little bit.
Speed dial number 5.
Number 5. Oh, wow. I'm almost there. I'm still number 5. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this hub over here. Let's take a look at what we're gonna work with. Mush mouth. Alrighty, here we go. Now that we got the wheel off, we got the hub exposed. We're looking at the front brakes just like we did the rear brakes. Now we're gonna do exactly the same thing as we did earlier today. We're gonna go ahead and remove these caliper bolts, the one on the top and the one on the bottom. At the same time, we're also gonna remove these caliper bracket bolts, one on the top, one on the bottom, so that we can remove the caliper, remove the bracket, remove the rotor, and then replace everything with new parts. The new parts are gonna be the new rotors and the new pads. So let's go ahead and get started, and we're gonna try and get this done as fast as we can. Alrighty, so just like we did earlier today, we're gonna go ahead and grab our tools. We're gonna start at the top, and just like the rear, we're gonna give this a little whack to loosen the seams between the metal. This one actually came out easier. I didn't even prep this for you this time. Most of you that watch my videos, you know that I prep this stuff to make this job a little easier so I don't consume a lot of your time watching me struggle with the unnecessary. But in this case, I didn't have to. All right, there's bolt number 1. It's got a nice rusty color on it, but that's okay, that's natural. Here is bolt number 2. Let's give that a whack. And there she went. Now, what we're gonna do, let's put this bolt back in here, and we're just gonna give it 1 or 2 threads. We're just gonna keep this from flopping around. Let's relocate the socket so we can get better leverage on it. There it is. Now, just like yesterday, let's make sure that this other nut is not spinning. Let's see if I can even feel it because the lighting is a little shoddy, but it's okay. There we go, I got it. Now, most of you guys that work at a shop or any other commercial location that'll help you do this faster, you guys do have the access to pneumatic tools, meaning your air compressor and your air power tools and all the other fun stuff. But for the regular do-it-yourselfer like me or Sarah or anybody else out there who's pretty much on their own, working on their own rig, you're gonna take advantage of what you got, which would be your garage, your hand tools, anything at your convenience that does not require you to spend millions of dollars on equipment you don't necessarily need if you're the do-it-yourself or work from home. Now, this is ready to come off. So what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and take our bungee cord. We're gonna locate a nice area where we can hang this so that we can hang the caliper. And wow, we're limited. What can we use? I don't want to hang it too low because I don't want to pull on the brake line.
Can we just hook it to one of the rings?
Or how about this? I see that the stud on top of your shock should provide enough. Look at that.
There you go.
Look at that. Couldn't have done it without you. Ooh, that's gonna be an issue. Now let's put this back for a second. You got your ABS line here. It's just not long enough. So now we have to accommodate. Let's take a look at how far this will drop without pulling. That's actually pretty good. Why don't we do that?
So why don't you just hook one hook up top and then do the other hook down below?
Like so. Let's give it a shot. Look at you. All those smart women, man.
2 brains are better than 1.
That is awesome. Alrighty, so we got that one up there. Just switch sockets. I'm getting rid of my 13 millimeter. We're gonna apply our 18 millimeter. Get the stick on here, it'd be awesome. Look at the right one. Yeah, I did. Well, we're going off of yesterday's sizes for the, earlier today's sizes for the rear. Looks like the front's a different size for the caliper bracket bolt. So,
Bigger?
yes, we're going to go a little bigger. We're probably going to go 19, then we'll try 20. And we'll take it slow like that to make sure we get the right one. Let's try this 19.
I'm going to have a 19-20 ratchet.
Okay, keep that on handy. 19 is still too small. Let's try this 20. Well, you gotta be kidding me. Even the 20, you got a 21 there?
21.
Let's try that 21. Well, Yahtzee, it's a 21.
Woohoo!
All right, let's give this a couple whacks. There it went. No, it's slipping.
Let me see if I have another 21.
Here's my, what did I do? I did my dork. Let me see something. That's a 21. And I'm wondering is because that's a ratchet box and wrench that when I'm whacking it, it's making it flop.
Could be.
Let's see if we can do it with a ratchet. Wow, they really put this one on there tight, didn't they? All right. Woo. You want to make sure nobody takes these off, that's for sure. All right, so time for a breaker bar.
Break it up, break it down.
No, we need something with leverage. Let's see if this will work. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the top half of the handle of my jack. We're going to try and use this for leverage here with length. So, I'm going to put this little fella back in here. I'm going to put this guy
Will it fit?
in there. Huh?
Will it fit?
Hole's big enough.
Lengthwise.
Oh yeah, lengthwise. Here, let's go to the bottom first. My knife here. There we go. Now, if we're still having interference from this fender right here, we're gonna have to steer the wheel. Yeah. Let me get out of the way. Take these with me.
Go right.
Yeah, you want to spin it to the right. Hold on. Your tires against the wall there.
That's as far as I got then.
That's as far as we got. All right. So, let's try this other option. Let's put this in here first. That's good for that one so far. Now, if we can get the top one, we'll be in business. And we're good.
Yay! So your jack stand doubles as a breaker bar.
Look at that.
Don't need to buy two tools.
Ain't nothing with multi-purpose there. I love them. You know, it's funny that I carry this tool set with me. This is a 301 piece mechanic set I got from Harbor Freight. Now, let me remind everybody that I am in no way, shape, form, or fashion affiliated or sponsored by Harbor Freight. I happen to shop there a lot. As I mentioned, I am a do-it-yourselfer. I'm not a professional in any way. Not like I do this for a living. I just love helping out my other Jeepers. This is the first time I actually use this set. I always carry it with me on trails if I ever get stuck. I've been very fortunate to never be in a position where I needed to use them, but I always have them. And this is honestly the first time I ever had to break out this toolbox. You know, not a bad set. Yeah, it's Harbor Freight. But just like any other manufacturer, they offer a lifetime warranty, so I said why not? It costs less. And if something breaks, it's covered. All right, so rotor's off. Looking beautiful. So, we're all good to go. Let's grab the other rotor, which is here. Got your pads. Now, just like we did earlier today, we're gonna make sure that we grab the appropriate one for driver's side and passenger side. This is the passenger. Put this one down. Alright, so just like we did earlier today, we're going to just grab it by the edges. We don't want to put our fingerprints or any other surfaces or substances on the surface of this rotor. We're going to slide into position. Now, you see the weight, how it keeps it floppy? That's why earlier today we went ahead and put a lug down here to keep it in place. So let's grab your lugs, whatever I did with them.
Oh, they're on the outside.
Here somewhere.
Yeah.
Now let's follow the path of most resistance, which is going to be this lower one right here. Wonderful, that's all we need. So at this point, let's go ahead and grab our bracket. We have our brake pads. Now, the inner pad, it's got this tab, so it's going to be on the lower end of it. And we need to make sure of that because the box of brake pads for the front comes with for both sides. So. Well, outside of being dirty, these shims right here, is still in good shape. You want to replace them?
I mean, if they're in good shape.
They're in good shape. They're just dirty. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me borrow your knife.
It's a very fancy one.
I know.
Multi-purpose.
Exactly that, multi-purpose. Okay. So. Okay. So. Go back to your bracket here. And don't make this an earlier today episode and give me a hard time. Alright, that's one. And let's take a look at the old one. That would be this one. Perfect. Now I got them expanded out as far as I go. We're just leaving enough space to get beyond the rotor to put the bracket back. And that is looking wonderful. Where are my big bolts? What did I do with them? Here they are. Let's go ahead and tighten up those bolts. Now we're going to leave that snug for a moment. So I'm going to get this guy winding a little bit more so I can fit my socket in there. Alright, now I got this nice and snug. We just grab that mallet. Now I'm just going to give it maybe about, 2 or 3 whacks just to make sure it's got a good torque on it. Almost took out my finger, but that's okay. I got a few more, right? Now, by professional standards, you really want to find out what the torque specs on this bolt is. Let's take, for instance, if this is a 1/2-inch bolt, and I'm talking about the actual bolt and threads, not the head. You'd probably want to torque this to about 75 psi. I'm sorry, 75 foot-pounds. I don't know why it's a psi. But I don't know what size the bolt is, and I have not researched the torque specs. So we are going to do this by hand, as I did. And it is going to be secure enough. And as I mentioned earlier today, I know that Sarah's going to call me in 500 miles and say, "Hey Steve, it's time to recheck my bolts, make sure they stay tight." And I'm going to be okay, I'll be right there. And of course, it's one of those that are me, like everybody else. I take a lot of pride in my work. I hope you do too. I want to make sure that everything's done. 1, whatever I work on is going to be 100%. 2, it's not worth losing a friend over. So yeah, go double check your work.
I'll do one better for you. I'll even show up at your place. I won't make you come to mine.
That's it. I'll probably be walking around in my boxers. I'm going to hear my doorbell going on. I'll be like, "Sup?" All right. So here we go now. As we did earlier today, we're going to compress the piston on the caliper. Let's go ahead and close that in all the way. And of course, the spinning is my habit. I make sure that this bolt is in good shape. You know, like I said earlier, if it starts to bind or get stuck, this bolt is stretching and the threading is becoming stripped. It's time for a new one. And yeah, they're cheap, so go for it. All right, so let's go ahead and grab this guy here. Put him on top of there for now. Let's grab an old brake pad as a backing, because this big hole right here is going to keep us from pushing in that piston. Alrighty, so let's put that there. Excuse me. Okay, so now we're in the position. You're gonna see, we're probably gonna back it down to about here, and we're here. So that, it looks like it's about maybe half an inch. Let's go ahead.
You want to go release the cap?
I'm sorry?
The cap.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's get it squeezing. All right, now a little word to the wise on some of these tools or the calipers themselves. If your tool starts to bind and you feel you need a little bit more leverage, there are different designs of this. Some may have a handle like a vise. You can try and grip on that. Maybe use a tool like a pair of pliers to help you twist. You know, worst case scenario, your tool is going bad. Stop using it, get something else. If your piston is difficult or near impossible to push in, stop what you're doing. Your piston is overextended. And what that means is that the brake pads have gotten so low that they pass the threshold where they will no longer compress in. You have to replace the calipers at that point. You know, and when that's done, of course, you're gonna get the brakes bled again. I would recommend doing a complete brake flush. And it's kind of like an oil change only to your brake system, where it removes all of the old brake fluid and puts all new clean fluid everywhere. So now that our piston is completely compressed back into the caliper, let's go ahead and put this bad boy back into place. All right, look at that. This girl's gonna be riding like a champ.
And I already had mine flushed when I had the brake lines done.
Okay,
So,
that's good.
should be all cleaned and good.
I still have to do that to my transmission. I got 45,000 miles on mine. I haven't done any training service yet.
Isn't that a 40,000 mile thing?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the
I want to say that's a 40.
a maintenance schedule thing in a while. So.
No, like a. No, that should be 45 and 90. I thought.
Transmission. Why am I missing the hole?
Sounds like a personal problem.
Man, I was about to say don't go there. You're killing me, you know that, right? All right. That is too freaking funny. All right, fellas, you, me, and everyone else we know. Come on, let's be real. Everybody can appreciate a lady that's got a good sense of humor that can just run with it, and it's all good, man. I love it. I love it.
And a lady loves a man who can find the hole.
You're killing me, man. I'm supposed to be making a G-rated video here. I need to get you a mic. Hear all those giggles in the background. Right on. So, this side is complete. We're all done. I squeezed the calipers, the pads as close as I could to the rotors, put the caliper back on, it's all tightened in. We're good to go. Let me put this cap back on.
I just gotta pump it and that's really it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so at this point, I'm gonna ask Miss Sarah to go ahead and climb in her rig Just give the brake pedal a few soft pumps slowly, just so we can set the piston. And then this side's good to go. All we gotta do is just put the tire back on and then do the other side.
Give a little bit of pump and love.
How's it feel?
Getting to feel nice and stiff.
You like it like that?
Yeah. I don't like it soft.
You're not recording, are you?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I have to cut that out. And there you have it. One of the front brakes is done. We're gonna get it all patched up at this point. What I mean by that is it's done. The brake pedal has been pumped. The brake reservoir cap has been put back on. And all we need to do is put the tire back on this thing. And then we're gonna do the same thing to the other side on the passenger front. I'm not gonna waste your time because all the steps are gonna be exactly the same. From this point, we're just gonna move the vehicle a little bit so I have some more space on that side of the garage. I'll knock that one out and then we're good to go. And hopefully, let me turn around here. Hopefully my friend Sarah was able to learn something new. If she needs help with this, she can always call me. I hope she does it. But what's gonna happen?
Speed down 5.
Speed down 5. That's exactly what's gonna happen. She's gonna call me. I'm gonna run right over. I'm like, hey, yo, I'm here at disposal because I did this job.
I'm gonna need some help if I need some help.
Always gonna need some help. Thanks again. Thanks for hanging out with Defiant Jeep. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, click that little bell, and don't forget to join us at Desert Wranglers Club. We'll be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.